My wife, my son's mother, was livid when she found out. She's usually the level-headed one, but was ready to show up at teacher's door and unleash hell. I managed to calm her down by explaining we needed to do this by the book. Meanwhile, teacher kept blowing up my phone with messages alternating between demands and threats. Sometimes she acted like we could solve it amicably if I just paid her off. Other times she insisted she wanted a wedding immediately, as if that made any sense. She said she was around 5 months pregnant, which made her timeline even weirder. She claimed the baby was definitely my son's, but her story about when they supposedly hooked up kept shifting. At this point, my biggest worry was that the courts might take her claims seriously without a test, or that she'd spread rumors before we could clear my son's name. He was just starting college. A scandal like this could mess up his future. I could already imagine the whispers on campus. That's the dude who got his teacher pregnant. It made me sick. I contacted the principal of my son's former high school, someone I'd done business with before, and explained this bizarre situation, while asking for any documentation on teacher's schedule, when she subbed there. He agreed to help by providing official records showing which classes she actually covered, and when. It turns out she barely taught at that school, maybe 6 weeks total, and from those logs, she was never even assigned to my son's classes. That was a relief, but didn't completely rule out the possibility of an after-school encounter, which is what she was claiming. Digging deeper, my son's friend came forward saying there was no way my son hooked up with her. During the weekend she insisted the affair happened, because he was out of town at a soccer tournament. My son was a pretty decent midfielder back in high school. There were photos, social media tags, and all sorts of evidence placing him in another state at that time. The more we pieced together, the more obvious it became that her story was full of holes. After some intense back and forth through our respective lawyers, we managed to schedule a paternity test. My lawyer insisted on using a reputable lab selected through the court to avoid any bribery nonsense. Teacher kept complaining about it, still dropping hints that a big fat check could make everything go away. I refused. My son started looking haunted by the whole ordeal, dark circles under his eyes, constant checking of his phone. It killed me to see him so stressed out. But I told him we're going to fight this, and we'll prove you're innocent. He nodded, looking both scared and relieved as we got to the lab on Thursday morning. Teacher was already there, arms folded, glaring daggers at my son. She refused to even speak to him, just kept muttering about how she was the victim. The nurses took samples from both of them, then we had to wait 1 or 2 weeks for the results. That waiting period felt like an eternity. My son tried to keep busy with school and his part-time shifts at my restaurant, but I could see worry on his face as he kept asking me, "Dad, you believe me, right?" I'd reassure him every time, "Yes. 100%. Teacher didn't let up. She texted or called daily with new threats, saying she'd tell local news stations about how we were covering up a scandal. She even threatened to stand outside my restaurant with a sign reading, "Deadbeat Dad." The gall of this woman was unbelievable. I saved every message and gave them to my lawyer. He was practically salivating over how strong our defamation case was becoming. Then one random evening I got a call from an unknown number. A man's voice started yelling, "Stop destroying teacher's life. You'll regret it if you don't pay up." When I asked who the hell he was, he just cursed at me and hung up. It didn't scare me, but it pissed me off. She was